everyone. Today I'm going to talk about my new keto carnivore 10-day challenge. I, just got back from vacation, and I mentioned in my follow-up video that I would be incorporating a little bit more carnivore. And this is the new challenge that I'm getting ready to do, and I thought I would share it with you. So ancestrally speaking, we have eaten meat. We were very nomadic in the beginning. We did not stay in one place and grow fields of grain. We ate meat, and as we moved around, we would eat berries, we would eat nuts, we would eat mushrooms, I'm sure, things we could find, honey on the way, but predominantly we ate a considerable amount of meat. And meat is very, very nutritious. It's been demonized for the last 50 years, and that's so unfortunate, and our health has suffered over the last 50 years. So I really just want to, bring back that understanding of meat as being very nutritious. Since Christmas, I upped my meat consumption. I did a carnivore week after Christmas just for the sake of just not cooking so much in the kitchen, mostly, I have to be honest, but I felt great at the end of this week. I lost a little weight and I had lots of energy, no bloating. So I've been wanting to do some more with this. And so this is what I am getting ready to do. The first thing I want to say is just to remind you of what carnivore is. So carnivore is eating from the animal kingdom, primarily. So we're talking about eggs and fish and shellfish, meat, especially from ruminant animals, but also things like pork and poultry and organ meat and high-fat dairy. Those would be kind of the big categories. And there's a lot of different things, to break down, in there. So the nutrients are very bioavailable in meat. And this is something that's a little different from plants. I've talked before about how plants have a number of toxins. So where animals could run from prey, hide, be camouflaged because of their coat, plants don't have that. So, but they have toxics in them that animals will sense, and either they have the ability to eat them anyway, like, with cows, they have 4 stomachs and they can eat grass, whereas we don't. The plants will just keep predators away through these toxins like oxalates, phytic acid, lectins. So these are just some of them, but there's polyphenols, and these things, really are very hard on human beings to digest. Now, some human beings, some of these we do quite well with, and they can boost our health. So I don't want to negate that, but a lot of people have a lot of problems with these items. So this 10-day keto challenge, I'm trying to get away from those items in particular. As I break down this challenge, I'm going to use tier 1 in Dr. Paul Saladino's book, The Carnivore Code. He breaks carnivore down into 4 tiers or 4 levels. And the first level involves some plant foods that don't have these plant toxins. They have way less. So the plants, so first of all, the carnivore part of this diet is that I'm going to be just focusing more on these. I will be consuming more of these than usual. My first meal will be strict carnivore. My second meal is where I'm going to add in some of these plant foods that Dr. Paul Saladino recommends as an entry level for his carnivore. He calls it carnivore adjacent. That's the term he uses. And so what this second meal might involve is some lettuces, avocado, olives, squashes, and cucumbers. So these 2 would be without the skin, without the seeds. So these items are what he has listed in tier 1. So I plan on having some of these. So this is not, I'm not necessarily going to be lower in carbohydrates, maybe a little, because the first meal is going to be strict carnivore, but that's not really my goal. My goal is to get away from the plant toxins and, keeping the increase in protein and meat that I've been doing, and just to see what happens with that and how I feel. The next thing is that I'm adding some other things in. for the sake of having a little bit more variety. So I want to be able to make meals that my family can eat for that second meal. That'll be a family meal. So I'm also adding in, and just some personal preferences too, like coffee. For one, I do have a cup of coffee every morning, and I'm not going to not have that. And I do use chocolate every once in a while too, and I'm not going to avoid that. I will have less of it, but I'm not going to avoid it. And those two items are known for having oxalates in them. So I do want to keep it at a minimum for this challenge. I also am going to add in coconut because I do want to have some type of flour that I could use if I wanted to make a muffin or a cookie or something like that for my family. So I'm going to have coconut, and I'm going to have mushrooms, which aren't a plant. It's not meat. They have a lot of nutrients in them, and, you know, some more protein. And so I'm going to include mushrooms. They're very savory and add a lot of flavor also. Then I also was on Mark Sisson's website. I wanted to see what he had to say about carnivore because he's very ancestrally minded as well. And I just love the ancestral mindset. I appreciate it. I believe in it. And so I'm going to put in the notes too the post from Dr. Paul Saladino that I referenced and the post from Mark Sisson that I'm going to talk about here right now. And he said he wouldn't do carnivore because there's not really enough strict evidence right now. There is a ton of anecdotal evidence. People are achieving all kinds of results, improving their health. There's a ton of it. It's stacking up. But right now, we don't have like any long-term studies. They are being done. There's work being done in this area by Dr. Sean Baker and some others. And so I do look forward to seeing any research that comes out. But Mark Sisson said if he were going to do carnivore, and he does appreciate it, you know, from the fact, you know, understanding that ancestrally we ate a lot of meat. We were hunters and gatherers, and it was a big part of our diet. So he said if he were to do it, these are things that he would be concerned about, that he would be sure to include. Number one is liver. Number two, he would make sure there's seafood. So, and for me, that's going to be salmon and shrimp and scallops. You know, those shellfish have a ton of nutrition in there. A lot of the minerals that we really need, I think, especially for women, personally. He said he would include eggs. Eggs are kind of like a multivitamin. They just have everything. They have choline and just like all the nutrition and great fatty acids. Also, he said he would be careful with magnesium, and I supplement magnesium. I'll definitely do that. And lastly, he mentioned bone broth. Again, he's looking at minerals. He mentioned this for the mineral content of bone broth. This is something I consume quite regularly. I have to say, not as much in the summer typically, but certainly in the fall and the winter and the spring, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I will be sure to include those items. The last thing I wanted to say is that I plan to photograph all of my meals on Instagram. So you can catch me at happiness-hunch.keto if you want to see pictures of my meals, probably a short description of what I made and what went into it. And, you know, I listed a lot of foods here, so the fats from these foods also I will be using if I desire to, you know, avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil, along with these other animal foods. So anyway, I'm really excited about doing this 10-day challenge, and I hope you'll follow me along, and I will report on it in another video. Thanks so much for visiting today. Have a good one. Bye.